All right, guys, we are back for another exciting adventure through Britain. We conclude our book club of The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. If you've been reading with us, we have made it to the end. This is it. We are finishing it up today. If you are not there yet, then you can go back to previous episodes to listen to our thoughts on previous chapters. So before we get started and Robert gives us the rundown, I thought it would be fun, and this is a question that all of us can answer, but when you think about the Knights of the Round Table, and you think about that, what do you guys think the appeal of the Knights are in history? So the Knights of the Round Table, we all heard of it before we read this book. What do you think is the appeal? Why does it continue to be written about? And why do people make movies and all that kind of stuff? What do you guys think it is?
If you don't mind, I'll go first. When I think of this question, I go straight to the meme of the dad on the riding lawnmower wearing the knight helmet. And I think this is just kind of like for girls, it might be romance. For guys, it's knights and adventure and, you know, crazy things happening, fight scenes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's the appeal for me, at least, is just the adventure of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would second that. Just getting together with your bros around a table and saying, hey, let's go here. Let's go exploring and have an adventure today.
Yeah. I think the bro aspect is very much a piece of this. Like, you know, it's like, because when you think about Arthur, you can't think about Arthur without Lancelot and or Merlin or all these different guys, all these different knights, and they're all a part of it. And you just think about this bros, all these bros who are going, hey, dude, let's go find this cup, you know, or let's go find the sword and the stone. Like, just a bunch of dudes who are just like setting off on adventures and getting all sorts of crazy stuff. Robert, what you got?
Man, I have like a short answer. Knights are cool. And more of a long answer, you know, like first off, Monty Python and the Holy Grail is awesome. So that keeps King Arthur alive. What's up? Mm-hmm. But dude, I think it's the round table and what that represents as a whole is kind of cool. Like it's like you all mentioned, like a brotherhood, like a brohood. Like when you get to that table, it's like you're unified. You're one group. We're going to do adventures together. They don't care about the backgrounds they came from. Like even in this book, like Dinadan, born a woman, becomes a man as a knight of the round table. Everyone but Colin knows. And it's like a big deal when Colin finds out. He's like, what? And everybody's like, dude, how'd you not know this? And they literally don't care. It's because, dude, when you're knight of the round table, you're bros. It represents unity, doing things with they don't care. That's what I think cool about the all that.
Yeah. And it's been going on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. These stories have been developing, and can't wait to talk more about that here in just a moment. But before we do all that, Robert, give us the rundown on what we're talking about today.
Yeah, dude. So like, you know, previously Keaton did a great job on the segment last week, dude. I want to shout you out. I don't want to gloss over what you did. I feel like I didn't even need to read the chapters you went in so hard on it, dude. But like our heroes arrived in Avalon on the flying ship piloted by Guinevere. They're hoping to save Arthur, bring him back to Britain, and with this help overthrow King Galahad, aka Justin. And I'm still like, dude, at the beginning of this, when it started off and they're in Avalon, like the whole time they find out Colum isn't King Arthur's son, right? And I'm happy. I didn't want him to be King Arthur's son.
Exactly.
I feel like that would have been lame.
It would have been really lame.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool. Everyone trying to save King Arthur, like Nimu's over there trying to use all the magic she can. Even Morgan Le Fay's trying to save him. Like all these people with different motivations, and they couldn't do it. And then I'm still the whole time like, Column's got to be someone. And they mentioned that S in this chapter. And he had that S on his sword. And they never, even from now to the end of the book, they never really kind of went in that unless I missed it. But
I don't think they did say anything about it.
I guess it's just like a weird, you know, Justin said lots of people had S's on their swords. I guess that's all it was, man.
I did a little research on that, and apparently it was just kind of a stamp on British swords. So,
okay. Yeah,
it was a very, like, kind of a almost common thing to see the S on a sword. So, yeah, I wonder if he was utilizing that as just like another shout out to kind of history there. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess the coolest part of this chapter, you know, they realize we can't bring Arthur back, and they kind of have like a moment with Arthur and some weird dream, like, I don't really know how to explain it thing. Yeah. And Bedivere and Guinevere get like a proper goodbye with Arthur, which I think is cool. And then somehow, for whatever reason, Column's just here. as per usual. Like off to the side, just watching.
I don't know why he was involved in the dream sequence at all.
It was weird, man. But he, I think the best part though too, like Bedivere got his other arm back, and he even kind of described it like Deadpool, or like it's all pinkish, like it's not fully formed yet. What is even going on at this point, man?
Yeah.
And I was just ready, like from that chapter on, I'm ready for them to go back and just give Lancelot the business.
Exactly.
And we find out who Colum is. Obviously, like his father was Sir Blueberries.
Which I mean, come on,
dude.
Like here's the thing, we talked about this whenever we were all scared that he was going to be the son of King Arthur, and we were like, please don't let that be the case. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that he was a father killer in chapter 1. What
exactly. Yeah.
What that was a twist, dude.
Baby blueberries, man.
That came out of nowhere. And even so, it goes a little bit deeper into it that his mom was a fairy. So that's how he's that half fairy. So it's
I agree, dude. It's really cool that and I like that Morgan Le Fay kind of watched over Colum as he grew up and stuff. And I'm gonna just say Colum's heritage is a lot better than if my dude had been King Arthur's son. If he's King Arthur's son, I'm out.
Yeah.
All right. But so, from there, they kind of get thrown out of their little flying ship by Merlin. Like Merlin's back. Lancelot got him, of course. He's bringing the ship down. And then, dude, even stranger, because stuff just be getting weird in this book. Colum became Aquaman. My dude grabs an anchor and dives to the bottom of the lake, holding on to the anchor. He can just breathe. I guess it's
not even it was the ocean.
Well, I was okay. I'm glad we're talking about this. I was kind of confused during this time, right? Because he's talking about the further he goes down, it just becomes it's just all black. And he's surrounded by what it feels like ice and cold. But I never got I don't know, unless I absolutely, and I did listen to this part on Audible. So unless I completely missed it, I didn't get the sense that he was in water though.
No, he was, dude. He grabbed the anchor and drove and went down to the bottom.
Right. But I didn't get a sense of any of that though. Like he's underwater.
I can see maybe when he went underwater, he kind of got transported into like a fairy ish area.
That's kind of more of what I was getting.
But my line of thinking, my line of thinking is he was there talking to the Lady of the Lake, and so she was kind of doing something with it to where they could talk, and he didn't need to breathe.
Yeah, and then she gives my dude Excalibur, and I'm like, okay, here we go. But then of course, because this book just with the pacing, my biggest complaint's the pacing. Like, I'm like, oh, he's got Excalibur. Aquaman's about to come up out of here, and we're going to get a throwdown scene. Let's do it.
Well, I also like real quick before we run past the Excalibur part, I like how she did give it to him, but not really necessarily willingly. Like
she just said, I'm done with you. Basically.
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah. And she's like, I don't care about Britain. Like it was very much like, it wasn't like, oh, the hero is here. Take the sword. It was such a different twist because she's just like, dude.
She's saying Merlin. I think she goes into how Merlin tricked her or something and said like this guy was going to bring back the old world. But now he just has, he brought all this Christian stuff.
Yeah.
So dude, I'm excited. He's got the sword. We about to see something, and then of course, bam, flashback, and I'm like, dude, come on, bro. And the whole flashback, right, to me is, I guess this one was actually important at the end, but it was a very long chapter, and we're going, what is the point of this? Well, I guess the point of it, we find out, like, Arthur they find the Grail. And they find it in the pagan castle where he killed the king, like way earlier in the book, which I do love when stuff comes full circle. So him going back to that castle and checking on the kids who are now adults and like king of the castle and princess. That was cool. That whole scene was cool. Him seeing the Grail out there was cool. Like the flashback started paying off in dividends, kind of how every flashback, I was like, oh my gosh. But then by the end, except for Sir Scipio's, his was terrible. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
And nothing to do, That was kind of
Sir Scipio's, not to go back to that. I like the story though. Like,
yeah, but it just didn't have any the other ones
exactly. I think that was
somehow.
I think that's the beef with it, is that it didn't really connect to much. But it was like, if it was like let's say a short story, I'd be like, oh, okay, that was all right. Like there was some.
I did enjoy in this backstory was, I was kind of annoyed at first, like Robert, but just seeing King Arthur's part of it finally coming to an end in the story is what I liked. He finally realizes like the biggest thing that he's been missing the whole time was, that, whatever this is his biggest illusion that he doesn't need to. He just let it be, basically.
He asked for forgiveness, and the kids were straight up like, dude, we're not going to forgive you. You killed our dad, bruh. Like, forgive you? Forget you. Get up out of here. And he saw the grail, and he goes for it. And Lancelot's like, dude, you can't go for that grail. Like, we're in a pagan castle. That grail's cursed. If you do that, like, nah. And Arthur goes for it, and Lancelot, like, loses his mind. And that's when everything gets set in motion. And this backstory definitely makes Lancelot look even more of a douchebag. Yeah,
like he's just if you like him, we got problems.
And
you and I.
He rips Excalibur out of Arthur's hands and tries to cut the grail in half.
And then he runs away like a little baby. After he fails.
Ran away like a coward. He was
exactly.
Gone. Yeah. But dude, so like. Now we're like getting everything to wrap up with the neat bow. Like, how's this book going to end? Well, obviously, Colum's fighting Lancelot. It was a really cool fight scene. Like, for half a second, I was like, dude, is Colum actually going to lose? Because, like, he gets his fingers cut off. And I'm like, are they just adding some levity to it? And I was kind of hoping he lost a little bit and Bedivere would kind of close the book out. But Colum has some crazy plot armor. I mean, he's Aquaman. They ain't going to kill him. So he does this thing. He did it. And
I thought that fight was honestly pretty anticlimactic, though, in the broad scheme of things.
I felt the exact same way, because this is at the very end of the book, and it's probably one of the most significant fights in the whole book. Mm-hmm. But you just can't help but think, like, how is Colum not going to end up winning this?
Yeah,
because in order for the story to come around, he's got to win this.
Well, we have this epic fight scene, but the best part of it to me was like the author, again, he did a great job at shoring up like every plot hole, like everything ends. And Dinadan like runs Merlin through with a sword. And way back when Dinadan made that deal with the fairy, like, hey, he's like, you owe me for this. I need you to kill Merlin. And I thought that was a good touch that she did the killing blow.
Exactly.
Like, I love that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that just further puts it in there, the Knights Round Table, that Dinadan is just another one of the bros.
Yeah.
Because Merlin can only be killed by a man. So.
And I love how they buried Merlin like 15 feet down under stone, put a green rock or whatever it was.
Cursed rock in his mouth.
Cursed rocks in his mouth. Like, they made sure, dude. They were like, you're dead, but we got to make sure you're never coming back.
Yeah, and they weren't even, Nimue put the cursed rock in there, and she didn't even care. She broke a few of his teeth to get it down there.
Yeah,
dude.
I do love, like, they made Guinevere queen, which was nice, because if Colin became king, I'm like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
But they made Guinevere queen, and then the little bit of humor at the end of that when Bedivere is talking to Colin, he's like, hey man, I have more fingers than you now. So
I did like that part.
Bedivere is just awesome, dude. But and
he's
so I'm like,
goods.
I guess I'm thinking we're gonna have like our, here's where they are now, but no. We need one more flashback, boys. Mm-hmm. And it was, again, you could have just cut it out. I don't know the significance of having Morgan Le Fay and her sisters meet Arthur as a child, other than like just add a little extra lore to it. This chapter did nothing to me. It was like a Scipio chapter. I do like the bit about Arthur's generosity, how he would always like give to help others before himself.
I think this kind of just seeds in there that Morgan was kind of this character you thought was going to be maybe the big bad in the story the whole time, but really she was kind of like, I don't know, I forget the literary term for it, but seemed like a bad character, but was really helping all along, just in her own kind of messed up way.
Yeah, and it's I didn't mind this kickback chapter as much because it was like that final touch and bow on the King Arthur thing. He's gone, and you see him, be put to that's all over with, and to see it one last time, him as a kid, it just show how even at the beginning he was all the things that people thought he was as a child. I think that was I feel like it added a little. I don't know if I like where it was, but maybe whatever. We can talk about that later. But
it was fine, dude. Like, I think at that point I was like over the flashbacks, but like Keaton brought up a good point, and now that he brings it up with like how it showed Morgan was like kind of behind the scenes, like trying to steer things on a right path. I actually, you know what, dude? I like it a lot more now that Keaton showed me a different perspective.
Sure.
And so we discuss we get to the ending of the book basically, and our heroes like see a sea of Saxons, and they're like, dude, we can't fight all these people. And Morgan's like, you don't have to fight them. Change is coming to Britain. This is the change, dude. Like, they're being driven by the Huns from their homeland. You guys got to adjust. So I thought that was cool. Guinevere would have to like go on to remarry. She named her child after Bedivere, which was awesome. And who was the last remaining knight, y'all?
Dinadan. For no reason at all.
For every reason at all, baby.
This is outrageous. Before we get to talk about this, I want to go back a little bit. And I really liked how Morgan, after they see all these Saxons, they're like, what are we going to do? We had to go back to Camelot, prepare for battle. And like you said, Morgan was saying, no, these are like refugees because they're fleeing from their land that's being flooded and being attacked. And they kind of set it up to where, what was I going to say? Anyways, going on, they kind of set it up, and their column is, I totally lost what I was going to say. Golly, dude.
Hey, it's okay, dude.
Too much.
I really love the quote at the end of the book about Dinadan when he said, why should it be that we're made for a bright world, but we live in a dark one?
Yes.
Like, I dig that quote, because who in this book faced more, stuff than Dinadan with going through what they went through? So, yeah.
Yeah. My gripe with that is I want to know what happened with Colm and Nimue. That's the only thing my gripe with that is. Yeah, but how did he die?
Need it spelled out for you.
How did he die? How did Bedivere die? How did all these people die?
Old age, man.
And what I forgot, what I was going to say was, I really liked how Morgan kind of laid out the future of England and Britain, and how it's going to change over the years, and that's like the little bit of knowledge that the fairies let her know.
Yeah,
that's what I forgot what I was going to say. Just seeing the future, and it leads into like modern day Britain, basically in England.
Yeah, dude. Like, dude, overall, the book as a whole, I felt like it was a solid take on like that legend, and I really liked the ragtag team of throwaway knights they put together. I like the message of the book, and I like the author's take on magic and playing around with the different themes for each knight. The book, I do think, dragged at times from a pacing perspective, but I think if you're a fan of Arthurian legend, this is like the easiest book in the world for me to recommend to you. If you're a fantasy fan, I think you'll find something here to like. I'd probably, if I were going to rate it, we don't really rate books here, but I'd put it probably about a 3.5.
And I think that also, if you're reading this and you haven't read the historical context part at the end, where he really goes into Arthur and who Arthur really was, as far as like what people assume he might have been, I think it's worth your time, because I think it makes the story cooler personally, because he talks about how, hey, Arthur was not most likely not a king. If anything, he was probably a Roman general of some sort, or officer who was probably a great warrior. And then he talks about how in different stories that were written about Arthur, that things kept getting added. He became king. And then this author made Merlin. And so then it was him and Merlin. And then this author added Lancelot. And then a love story between Arthur and Guinevere, and then there was this other author who added the romance between Guinevere and Lancelot, and it just talks about how this legend grew through story to the point where basically people were like, well, we don't know what's the real deal, you know. And I thought it made this cool because then it was just his take on all of that same stuff, and it just seems like what a cool blueprint, really, for people to create this really cool fantasy realm and make it your own with familiar characters that we all somehow have some connection to in a way. So,
yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think the pacing of this thing was at times a little hard to get through, and everybody in our Discord is very saying the same thing. First half slow, second half got a lot better. There were chapters where I was like, man, this is awesome. And there were chapters where I was like, you know, like, and there were times 3.5, I think, is a very fair score. For this one.
You go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, there are fantasy books that if somebody was not a fantasy fan, we would recommend someone if they were looking to get into it. This is not one of those, though. Like, I feel like if you're already engaged in this kind of stuff and you like this, easy recommend. If you're not, I would probably not recommend this to a person to see if I could get them into it. If that makes sense. Maybe
something a little bit easier to digest. Sure. But I totally agree with your rating and with what you guys said. For me, the pacing, yes, it was bad, but I told Justin this. I don't know if you heard it, BJ, but I was saying whenever I felt the pacing get slow, I would switch between physical and the audiobook, and I think that really helped me a lot. So if anybody that hadn't read this book and is just hearing what we've been saying and they want to, you know, get the nitty-gritty details and read it for themselves, maybe try, when you're feeling it getting a little sluggish, switching it up between the audiobook and the physical book, if you can do that.
And this thing was narrated by Nicholas Guy Smith, and he really did a great job at it, to be honest. Yeah, I think
he did a good job as well.
Yeah.
And then one more thing, not related to, I mean, it is related to the book, but it's, you know, not of the book. It's actually, I think Lionsgate has commissioned like a TV series that they're going to do for
already. Wow.
Red Sword. Yeah.
Oh, I'll check it out.
So I was looking at stuff today and I saw that. I just wanted to add that.
Dude. We'll definitely review that.
Yeah, easy.
Well, guys, as we close up here, let's go ahead and give the final 3 words. This is the final 3 words for the entire journey through the book. What do you guys got? We'll start with you, Kiwi.
How to put this in 3 words? The lovable misfits.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. What do you got, Bojangles?
Bedivere best night, bro.
Oh, man. That's a good one. That is a good one. All right, bro. Dude, I'm not going to lie. You kind of took mine. I was going to be Bedivere the GOAT, but I'll just say the journey's end.
Hey, I like the journey's end, bro. You can have Bedivere best night. I'll go with Column's plot armor.
Dude.
You can also do Justin as Lancelot.
Oh,
that is true. Hey,
dude, I can't believe we battled over that for so long, and then Lancelot ends up being the
You can have it.
Cool.
I gave it to you.
Dylan, what do you got for your final 3 words for this one, my man?
Life's a journey.
Dig it.
If we're going for another set, you guys got to. My other one is Killed My Father.
Nice. Hey, I want to give a thank you to everyone in our Discord that read along with us, and some comments in there. Solid Matt 13 said the highs in the book are really great. Ultimately, he liked it a lot. He felt it could have been about 6 to 7 chapters shorter. Let's see, Super Reader. She gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars and said the book redeems itself in the last half, which I agree. The last half was really, really good. But I didn't mind the first half. I actually liked learning about some of the 19 flashback chapters. But
yeah,
the last half definitely carries hard. And then Joshua gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. And he said he would not recommend it to anyone unless you're a serious King Arthur buff. So, you know, I get that perspective of it too.
Yeah.
So,
I think that, and I also kind of am getting the feeling about this book that a few months down the road, I might feel differently after I've processed all the things that we've kind of gone through in the last 6 weeks with it. Which I honestly, I enjoy books like this in the way that we did it. If we would have tried to blast through this in a week, man, I don't know if I would have been able to, retain and even process what we've done. But going through this for the last almost 6 weeks, I feel like we've just kind of been on again. It's like we've been on this journey here. It's been kind of cool. I feel like this is going to last a little bit with me though, and maybe the longer I sit with it, maybe it becomes something similar to like The Last Word, where I'm like, you know what, I remember this more fondly than I did in the moment, and sometimes that's okay too.
Yeah, it's all right. I agree with that, dude. I can see that happening for sure, and we promise you, listeners, asterisk on that promise, we probably won't do a book club book that takes 6 weeks again, or if we do, it'll be a very long time.
Yeah, we're gonna try to mix it up a little bit.
The next book club book is actually Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, 1,000 pages long.
Ooh, man.
Well, dude,
there you go.
Thanks again for helping us with this.
Yeah, thanks for helping us.
Yeah,
man.
I loved it's so much more fun when you read along with and get to talk about it. So that's always been my thing. I'll read a book by myself, and none of my friends will read it, and so I don't have anybody to talk about it with. And all I want to do is talk to people about it. Same with TV shows or movies and stuff. It's just you get a lot more out of it if you can talk to somebody else who has experienced it the same way as you have.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And just before we get into nerdy news, just a little brief rundown on something that we've done is we've taken all book discussions between this and even You Like It Darker and made just the book discussion portions on the YouTube channel. So if you have not read the books yet, or maybe you were like, I'm going to get to that later, and you don't want to listen through the whole show again, there is just the book parts of that available to you. So if you're interested in engaging in that. But without further ado, we all know what time it is. It's time for some Sweet Baby Dylan and the nerdy news.